Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about this. Now, Mr. Chandler Halderson, the mom and dad killer. Now, we have his brother, Mitchell Halderson. They have a really interesting name. Anyway, we have Mitchell Halderson as a witness right here, and he's basically going to detail the things that we need to know about his brother. Now, keep in mind, all these things that he was telling, the police and everybody else is, him going to SpaceX, all that shit, him working from home, complete lies, complete fakes. Let's see what his brother had to say.
Mr. Halderson, if you are able to safely and responsibly, I would appreciate your testifying without a mask, if you could.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last name?
My name is Mitchell Halderson, and that's Mitchell, and then Halderson is HAL, D as in David, ERSON.
First thing I'll say, first things first, his brother is a lot more, up and up, jittery, eyes focused, as opposed to Chandler. Chandler's just like, well, I don't know. Yeah, I know. She must, they haven't come back yet. It's a big difference. Now, they could have similar personalities and he just regressed into that, negative type of behavior because of the stress, but something tells me that they're polar opposites.
What are the names of your parents, Mitchell?
Bart and Krista Halderson.
And do you have any siblings?
I do.
And who's your sibling?
Chandler Halderson.
The way he was like, Chandler Halderson. He was like, man, don't even connect me to that boy. After this, I'm not related to that man. Chandler. Just call him Chandler. Don't even bring the Halderson name to that shit. I would disown that fool.
Was born in this area in Dane County, and then between 3rd and 4th grade moved up to Plymouth, Wisconsin, which is in Sheboygan County, and then have lived around here for college and work after high school.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 27. Could you describe Exhibit 27, please?
That would be a picture of my parents, actually a crop photo that I am also in. We are at the New Glarus Brewery.
Okay. And that was a somewhat recent, in the last couple of years, photo?
Yes, within the last 4. I forget exactly.
Okay. And is that an accurate copy of that picture?
Yes.
Okay.
What the hell was that? What the fuck?
I would move Exhibit 27
Any
into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
It may be published. It is received.
I will say one thing, he's not that emotional right now. Your guy's just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I grew up here. And yeah, that's my family. Yep. Everybody processes grief differently, but your boy's holding it together pretty darn well. I'll give him that much.
How old was your dad, if you know, in July of this year?
He was born in 71, so in July he just turned 50.
And your mom, she was a few years older?
Correct, about 3.
What did your dad do for a living?
He was an accountant.
Do you remember the name of the firm that he worked with last?
Yeah, BDO USA.
And he did taxes and things like that, or?
Yes, specifically with small businesses was his specialty.
So is he kind of a money savvy sort of person?
I would say so. Definitely had finances, understood them well.
Do you believe in banks?
Yeah.
How old was your mom?
My mom was 53.
What'd your mom do for a living?
Was a stay-at-home mom for us growing up and has recently gone back to work as a receptionist at a car company.
Hey, shout out to her, man. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And that's what also hit me kind of in the feels, man. My mom went back to work, after we left the house. She went to work as an insurance agent. She was really good at her job, too. For a minute there, she made a lot of money because she was motivated. But then, eventually she got tired of it, moved on to something else. But, it's crazy how, your parents can dedicate so much time to you, dedicate their lives to you, a good 10, 15 years of their lives toward you. And then you turn around and kill them? Like that's gotta be some crazy shit. I could even see if Chandler Halderson's mom was like some type of go go go, have two jobs type of mom. Never saw his mom, never saw his dad. At least there's some sort of understanding. Like okay, there's not really that much attachment, so I guess he could murder her without much remorse. But this is a stay-at-home mom. I know what it feels like to have a stay-at-home mom. The bond, it's real. I don't know if it's different between other households, but I know without my mom, my equilibrium's fucked up. So how do you go ahead and do that?
Describe what was your dad like as a parent, just very briefly.
He worked a lot, so slightly absent during the time, but I would say had good expectations for us and overall was a good parent.
How would you describe your mom as a parent, just briefly?
A bit of the typical helicopter parent, very involved in our everyday lives, but again, because she cared.
When I think of a helicopter parent, I think of a disaster for some reason. I don't know. Like a helicopter parent, I think about a helicopter parent. It's like she's going everywhere. She's hovering here, she's hovering there. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I've never heard that term before. It sounds like a bad thing to me, but I don't know.
So she stayed in communication with you often, is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Oh, she's a helicopter mom. She hovers a lot. She's always in your business. That's what I think he's saying. Okay.
What is the age difference between you and your brother Chandler?
18 months.
And are you the older or younger sibling?
I am the older.
And just for the record, I think the judge is going to ask everyone but the jury to remove their mask for a few seconds.
I'll tell you one thing. I know, well, I mean, they're dead now, but I know when it was happening, it probably passed through his dad's mind like, man, we should have stopped at the first child. We didn't even need the second one. God damn it.
Do you see your brother Chandler Halderson in the courtroom today?
If everyone could lower their masks briefly, and after 1, 2, 3, replace your masks. Thank you.
I do.
Could you please describe by where he's seated and what sort of, maybe the color of his shirt?
Table to the right, with a purple shirt and a suit.
I would ask the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
It shall.
So Mitchell, if you're 18 months older, are you 24 or 25?
I just turned 25.
Okay.
Ah, man, I just turned 26, bro. Congratulations. You're still 25. It's a weird feeling getting older, It's a weird feeling. But, hey, what my mom always told me is like, appreciate that you're getting older because some people never made it that far. And that's what I stick to, I'm 26 right now. Guess what? Somebody didn't make it to 26. Not Chandler, Mitchell, he made it to 25. Somebody didn't make it to 25, and I'm damn sure they'd like to be there. So, while we're here, enjoy it, man. And carry those years with pride. You know what I mean? That's what I'm learning to do.
And in July of 2021, where were you working and what did you do?
I work at Epic Systems, and I am a technical services representative.
A computer guy.
Sure, yes.
And are you married, single, something else?
Engaged.
Engaged, okay. And how long have you been engaged?
A little over a year.
Okay. And you live in the Dane County area?
Yes.
In a house, a condo, something else?
In a house.
Okay. And just briefly, in June of this last year, 2021, you had a significant health episode. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, what occurred?
I went to the doctor for a regular scheduled appointment since I hadn't gone during COVID and wanted to get blood work done, and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
And in fact, you were hospitalized for a period of time.
Yes, that is true.
Was your mom or dad, did they seem concerned to you at all?
Yes.
You kind of laughed there. Why'd you laugh?
My mom was overly concerned.
Helicopter mom, I get it. Y'all don't even got to tell me what a helicopter mom means. I get it. One thing, my mom was a bit protective, but after I got to a certain age, I kind of jumped off the porch a little bit, and she just kind of was like, "Okay, Lord, just keep my son safe. Let him come home at night." So she wasn't that overprotective of me. I could do my thing, but when I was younger, for sure.
Express that.
Not as much to me, trying to not show me that, but I have heard later on that she called her best friend many times crying.
Okay. Growing up and moving into recently, what sorts of things did you and your brother Chandler do?
Since we didn't live in the same house, we would do things online, like play video games and just talk that way.
Okay. What sort of video games did you play?
Wide array, but generally first-person shooter games.
Okay. And did your brother have a favorite weapon or gun in these games?
Usually those of Russian descent.
Okay. Like the SKS?
That's correct.
And in fact, during your illness, your
What
brother...
I say, another video is you always ask the questions that you know the answers to. You never ask a question where you just don't know the answer as a prosecutor. Even a defense attorney, I believe that you just don't ask the question unless you know the answer. So when she asked, did you guys play video games? What was his favorite gun? Oh, gun of Russian descent, like the SKS, right? That's not just a random question. She knows the answer she's going to get back, and she knows the narrative she's about to paint. And that's important for a good prosecutor, to be able to map out where you're going and think on your feet. And that's the exact opposite of people like Darrell Brooks, or even sometimes like Alex Murdaugh when he tried to give statements on his own. You know what I mean? So, yeah, keep that in mind.
Brother gave you a gift. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
What did he give you?
A unknown type of bullet with the words "get well soon" on it.
That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny, man. It looks like they kind of had a little relationship. Like, what went wrong, bro?
I'm going to show you Exhibit 26. How would you describe Exhibit 26?
That is the same one.
That's the bullet that your brother gave you and wrote to get well on.
Yes.
Move Exhibit 26 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
It is received. It may be published.
I want to turn your attention to when your parents went missing this year. How did you learn that your parents were potentially missing?
I don't remember the exact date, but I did receive a call from my mom's best friend that had let me know that they had gone up, she had heard that they had gone up to the cabin.
Okay.
So I did not suspect them missing at that time. I just had heard that.
Okay. And what is your mom's best friend's name?
That would be Jane Hilgendorf.
Okay. So you get a call, and in fact, you call her Aunt Jane.
I do.
Okay. So you get a call from your Aunt Jane. What do you do, if anything, in response to that call?
I don't recall the exact events, but I did not think much of it because they would be known to go up to the cabin.
Okay, so I thought they would never go to the cabin. At one point, the prosecutor had said that there was bushes growing everywhere and no one had been there for a while. So I thought they just didn't really do the cabin thing, but apparently that's not true.
Let's talk about that. So your parents own a cabin.
Correct.
Where is that cabin?
Langlade County, Wisconsin.
Okay. And how would you describe that cabin?
My grandpa had built it, so it was mostly wood logs, pretty run-of-the-mill, what you would think of as a rustic cabin.
Okay. Is it on waterfront, in the forest, something else?
Yes, it is on Sawyer Lake, Wisconsin.
Is there any other outbuildings associated with this cabin, such as a shed or a boathouse or anything like that?
Both of those. There is a shed out in the front, a boathouse in the back, and a in-shambles treehouse in the front yard as well.
Okay. And did your parents own a boat of any sort?
I believe so. There was definitely a canoe. I don't believe there was a full boat, or at least not that I remember.
And nothing like a pontoon or a ski boat or something?
Nothing with a motor that I'm remembering.
Okay. How often do you believe your parents went to the cabin?
They would at least open and close it every year and go probably 1 or 2 more times in addition to that, so 3 or 4 times a year over the summer.
Okay. And what were your parents' habits about keeping in touch or not keeping in touch with you in connection when they went to the cabin?
my mom would reach out any chance she could, so she would have told me.
Okay, and there's the biggest problem. He said, Chandler, his little brother, said that his mom and dad, you know, the helicopter mom and the dad, went with an unknown couple in an unknown vehicle and just did not communicate with them at all. Now, what kind of shit is that? I mean, a day without my mom texting me at the cabin, and she's known to hit me up every single time, I'd already be skeptical. Come on. But you mean to tell me days after you haven't heard anything from them other than one text like, hey, babe, we're here. And that's it for days. Then you're going to go to the detectives and say, oh, missing person? No.
Did your parents tell you in the last week of June or the very beginning of July any idea that they may be going to the cabin?
No.
Hey, you know, maybe they wanted to get freaky, you know, disappear, go to the cabin with that unknown couple. That's the only thing I could think of. And that's like a 2% chance out of 98% that Chandler dismembered them. Like, come on.
First, hear from your Aunt Jane. What is the next thing that happens that you remember in concerning your parents being missing?
The next thing I remember is Chandler texted me that he is worried about them.
Okay. What, if anything, did you do in response?
Asked more about why, and just to hear what they had told him about leaving, because I didn't hear anything about it.
And what did you learn from Chandler?
That they had gone up north with friends, that he didn't know who those friends were, and didn't know the car that they had taken.
Okay. What was your understanding of friends that may go to the cabin with your parents?
There is a list of people that I would have assumed. Do you want me to go through that list?
Sure.
That would be my Aunt Jane, Uncle Mike, also Dan and Mary Sesto, who lived on the same street, as well as Gail and Rick Kanapaki, who you might also hear from. And I had reached out to each one of those families and had heard back that none of them were the ones that had gone up north.
Now, even at this point, I would have no clue that it was my brother. I'd be like, well, it's not them. Mom and dad must be on some shit. Like, what's mom and dad doing, you know? That's honestly the only thing I'd be concerned about. Like, okay, so where are they? Like, what is mom and dad doing? But I wouldn't think they were really missing like that, you know what I mean?
Did you have any understanding about who would drive when your parents went to the cabin?
Unless it was one of those three, I would assume that they would drive because they're the ones that know the way. And there are certain folks, notably Dan Sesto, that goes up there often enough that I would understand driving, but nobody else.
Okay. What happens next as far as you're concerned with your parents?
You see that little face twitch he's doing? That's his nerves right there. He's doing the little, like every 2-3 seconds. Look at it.
What's the next piece? Okay.
Look at that.
What happens?
I think he's trying to keep himself together. Sometimes I do that when I'm stressing, like at work. I'll be working really fast and I'll be like doing some pots and stuff, and I'll start twitching my face just to like stay focused, Alan. Stay focused. I think he's just trying to keep himself together.
What happens next as far as you're concerned with your parents? What's the next piece of news you learn?
Eventually, a detective comes to my house,
Oh,
Rich
God.
Bennett, in order to just ask some more questions of me during the investigation. I believe that was the next thing that had occurred.
Okay. What happened after that?
I believe it was Wednesday. It was whatever day Chandler was originally arrested. I had actually gone up to the cabin myself in order to check it out, just to see what was going on.
And why did you go to the cabin?
Wanted to do something myself about it. I felt like I needed to do something.
So at this point on Wednesday or whatever day you ended up going to the cabin, were you fairly concerned?
Yes.
Okay. And what led you to being so concerned?
Not having heard from them, not being able to get a hold of them, and not being told that they had gone up there to begin with.
So during this time period that you learned they're missing, did you reach out to your mom or dad via text or phone calls?
Yes.
Did you hear anything back?
No.
And did that concern you?
Yes.
At any point during the time that you learned your parents were missing, did anybody tell you that perhaps they were out gambling?
I don't believe during that period of between July 1st and July 7th I had heard anything about gambling.
Okay. Let me just ask, were your parents gamblers? Have you ever been to a casino with them?
No.
You're damn right they weren't gamblers. I mean, you got me twisted. If I sit down to make all this money, I work my ass off. I do all whatever they're doing. He's an accountant. His mom does whatever. She's just starting to make her own money because she's working again. You got me twisted if you think I'm gonna go to a casino and just hand it over to you like, oh, here's $200. Oh, here's another 300. Nah. Man, I get that it's fun, and I mean I've gone gambling before, but literally $50, $40. The most I've ever won was probably like another 50 on top of that. I don't gamble. I find it stupid. I would never do that shit. I don't care how rich I am. Why would I gamble? Let's just earn some more money. Why am I gonna put it on the line? You know, the one thing I would do is probably bet on like a MMA fight because I really rock with that. And sometimes I just want to bet on my guy, you know, I want to raise his stock a little bit. So, you know,
To your knowledge, have they ever taken a vacation with entertainment that is gambling?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Were your parents big drinkers?
They've gotten more into drinking, I'd say, since they moved back down to Windsor. Yes, but not huge drinkers, no.
Did you ever know your parents to drink tequila?
My mom would drink margaritas, but not from mixing it herself. It was the Costco brand pre-made stuff.
ew.
Okay. Did you know either of your parents to drink gin?
No, I do not.
Okay, respect because gin is disgusting. Just saying.
Did your parents take their work or their jobs seriously, not seriously, or something else?
Very seriously.
To your knowledge, have they ever no-called and no-showed for work in the past?
That would be very strange for them to do.
I want to, so you go up north and you meet a deputy up there.
Correct.
What do you do once you're up there?
Before the deputies arrived, I took a lap around the cabin myself just because I didn't want to wait outside any longer. Eventually, Langley County, deputies, I believe they were sheriffs and deputies, met us there. And eventually I took another walk around the property with them, just pointing out things that I noticed. And also, they busted into the doors because they were all locked and the keys that I had were not working.
Okay. And at any point, obviously, you did not find your parents up there.
No.
Did you find any signs at all that they had been there?
Nothing looked like it had been used. There was a couple pieces of trash around, but I believe that's just because sometimes people will walk through the property on the way either between properties or just in the way. Either way, I do not believe it had been used anytime recently.
Yeah, and like I said in another video on Haraldson, if you're a country boy and you go out there a lot, you can tell when people have gone through. You can find landmarks over. You know, you're pretty much your own GPS when you get out there. Just the elements, you know. You look at the floor, you see the trail. Sometimes the trail is really beaten down and you're like, okay, people have walked through here a while ago. Or you see little hoof marks and be like, okay, a little horse went through here, whatever. Oh, mom and dad came through here because there's some tire tracks, or the door lock has scratches on it. There's just so many small things that you can notice about movement or someone who's been somewhere. And the more you stay out in the country, the more you develop that type of skill. So if he's saying that it looked like no one has been there and he, you know, would go to the cabin often, then probably no one has been there. So now we're back to square one. Chandler.
Mitchell, I want to ask you a few things about your brother and what you knew in June and July of 2021. Where, if anywhere, did you believe your brother worked in June of 2021?
I believed at American Family.
What did you think he did there?
Answering questions on a message board, things you can do from remotely.
Is your understanding he was working from home like most people?
Yes.
Did you have any understanding about his payment schedule or anything like that in connection with American Family?
No, I wasn't really told much about that.
And I mean, I wouldn't really ask anyway. But man, they had me fooled. I thought this kid had a job at home. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, bro. Yeah. And I thought he was going to SpaceX. I was like, damn, okay. Getting his life together. I see you. That was all cap. That was all a lie, bro. Had me completely fooled.
Did you, when he was arrested in July of 2021, were you under the impression he was still working at American and Family?
I was.
What, if anything, did you believe about your brother Chandler's schooling?
Believed he had not currently graduated yet, but was attending online classes at MATC.
And what did you believe he was studying?
Renewable resource engineering was the general consensus I had.
Did you have any knowledge about when he was scheduled?
Renewable resource engineering. It's funny how you can just go and tell some people some shit, even like your family, and they'll just take your word for it if you're, believable enough. And that's why you really have to take anything people tell you with a grain of salt, because sometimes people just be talking. You're out here thinking people have the best lives in the world. Like, oh my God, look at her Instagram. She's all out here. She's doing all this shit. Next thing you know, it's a 3-year-old picture or some shit, or she's exposed for not really even being there. Like, there's so many fibs and lies people can tell you. Just stay in your own lane. Like he said, he wasn't even really much interested in the pay stubs because, that's his business. That's crazy. But if they're your own kids, if they're your kids, make sure you know what they're doing, man, because you don't want some shit like that to happen to you.
To graduate or?
No.
Okay. And in June of 2021, your brother suffers a fall.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What, if anything, did you know about that fall?
I was told that while my dad was home working, he had heard a thud and that he went upstairs to find my brother on the ground next to the staircase, or on the staircase.
I'm sorry. That's the funniest thing about this entire case. Like, he actually gave himself brain injuries during all this time, and he still went through with it. After his parents helped them from the whole situation, he was like, nah, screw that. We're still shooting them. They pissed me off today.
And did you see your brother in June of 2021?
In June, I did, yes.
Okay. What, if any, sort of lingering medical effects did he have, to your knowledge?
I wasn't aware of a lot. I believe there was general numbness, I was told, kind of during that, and overall tiredness as well.
Did you know anything about any potential long-term damage?
I don't believe that I was told enough yet. It seemed like it was still under evaluation.
And did you know anything about appointments in the future?
I actually did. I was told by Chandler during that, between the time frame, I don't remember the exact date, between July 1st and July 7th, that he had an appointment, and he was asking if I could help give him a ride in case he needed one.
Oh, shit. Don't tell me that the whole falling injury thing was a lie, too. Because this is happening right between the 1st and the 7th, which means this is right around the time he took them out. So, does he really need an appointment, or is this just all, like, some sympathy points? You guys let me know. I know we're going to find out in a minute, but, bruh.
Did you guys ever firm up any plans to take him to his appointment?
We had offered a ride if needed, but he never ended up needing it.
Okay. And do you know roughly what date you were diagnosed with diabetes?
If the weekend was June 13th to 15th, it was in the middle of the month, whatever weekend around there.
And did Chandler's fall occur before or after or during your hospitalization?
After.
Okay. Within days?
I don't remember. Could have been a week.
Okay. Other than Chandler seeming tired, did you personally observe any differences to Chandler's physical appearance?
Just the neck brace, but no, nothing else.
Did you observe any difficulty he had walking?
I don't think so, no.
I got a story to tell. You know when you don't want to go to work and you just create bullshit and be like, oh, I twisted my ankle. and I can't come in. Like I'm gonna be too slow. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, somebody like that told us he went hiking last week and he couldn't come into work, right? He skipped like 3 days. Then he comes in and tells me limping, right? He's like, "Oh man, I fucked up my foot, man. It doesn't feel good, man. I might have to go." And I don't give a fuck. Like, do you? Like, I don't care. I was like, "Oh, that sucks, bro." Like, "Oh, wow. Well, tell the chef, let him know." Like, next thing you know, we get busy. Like 3, 4 hours later, I look at this man walking full weight on both feet, just moving fast, left and right, squatting, picking shit up. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think Chandler pulled one of those moves. He was like, my neck, permanent damage. I need a brace. And yeah, that was pretty much his injury. Lies. That's what I'm assuming.
Did you observe any weakness of limbs, picking things up, anything like that?
I didn't see him pick much up either, so I guess I can't say.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Mitchell, I need to ask you a few difficult questions. Are you a beneficiary for your parents' life insurance?
I am.
How much do you believe that you will end up getting out of life insurance because of their deaths?
They have a few different policies. It is in the, if I'm remembering correctly, it is in the ballpark of around $1 million.
That includes the house as well.
Oh wow. You know, when they say one negative thing happens and 2 good things open up, then I think I just jacked that saying up. But basically, man, shit, you lost your parents, but you got $1 million in the house. That's pretty crazy. I mean, rest in peace, mom and dad, but appreciate y'all for that house. That's how I would be thinking, to be real. Like, sheesh, Chandler had to go and throw all that off. Now, if we were just good kids and, took care of our parents, we could have got that payout and shared it, but you went ahead and killed them, so I guess I'll take that off you, big bro. I should say little bro.
Yeah, I don't believe that's including the house, actually.
Have you been paid out anything as of today?
No.
Is anybody else listed as a beneficiary?
I believe it went to my mom first. If my dad's death had preceded my mom's, or I guess their policies listed each other as primary, but then yes, also my brother was listed in the same line as I was.
And Mitchell, did you have anything to do with your parents being missing?
I did not.
Going missing.
No.
And were you fully cooperative in the investigation?
Yes.
Okay,
Did you
one thing I'll tell you, this man is telling us the truth. I did not. And he kept straight eye contact, not like his brother, the one who's kind of going like this and just, off to the side and aloof about everything. No, I did not. I did not have anything to do with their disappearance. Yes, I cooperated. Like straight to the point. No hesitation, no nothing. I'm sorry for this guy, man. I know the money can't help with the loss, but it's a tough thing. Your sibling going and just taking your parents out like that. That's absolutely wild.
Provide a DNA or a buccal sample upon request.
Yes.
Did you provide proof of work during the first week in July upon request?
I did.
And did you participate in multiple interviews with multiple different officers?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Yes, so that was Mitchell Halderson. That was the brother of Chandler. And, seems like a normal enough guy. And I'll say for Chandler Halderson, the dude seemed normal enough too. Maybe a little, a little shy, a little, passive aggressive. But the dude he didn't seem like a narcissist. Didn't seem like a psychopath, Something happened, Now that I know he was listed on their life insurance policy, could have been for the life insurance. But what did he really need the money for? I don't really know. But I'm sure we're going to get deeper into this later on. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know, because we're going to go all the way through the Halderson case. Love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Stay inside. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.